Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. This podcast is dedicated to EAS employees of the U.S. Postal Service and members of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. So, pour yourself a cup of coffee and join us for today's episode. And now, here's your host, Robert Wakefield.
And good morning, Branch 32, and good morning, Naps family, wherever you are listening, especially if you are at the Legislative Training Seminar in Arlington, Virginia. That's right, LTS is going on right now, and I am interviewing lots of people for this special occasion. And sitting across from me right now is a guy who's been on this podcast. How many times? How many times do you think you've been on?
Well, at least three.
At least three.
For a three-peat?
And we're going to, for three-peat, that's right, at least three. We did a three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the program, Brian Wagner. Brian, how are you?
Robert, I'm great, and I just love being on the world's famous podcast, In Our Hearts.
In our hearts, yes. Yes, because it's not anywhere else, I can tell you that. Oh, my gosh. So tell me something. I've been asking everyone because I'm curious. I'm kind of a curious guy, and I like to know these things. How many LTSs have you been to?
1996, probably my 30s. I started in 1996.
Oh, really?
Right after I was elected, the branch president, right after reorg, and that was one of my first ones to go.
Is that right? What do you remember about that first one?
I remember Bob McLean was doing the first timers, and then we're sitting there and he goes, "You're not a first timer," because I was so active in legislative prior just with the branch.
Okay.
And I was active in the locally, but
yeah.
then all of a sudden he goes, "Well, you're not a first timer."
Yeah, what are you doing in here?
Yeah, I am.
Well, that's hilarious. No, and I have not. I can't imagine coming 30 years. That's amazing. Yeah. Oh, that's and you haven't missed one.
No, not that I know of, unless my mind just gone and one day I showed up and I.
You know, I remember I came to an LTS and I was here. I don't know where the rest of my branch was. They didn't come up the day I came. I came up on Saturday, and you were a national president. And so we got through with all this stuff, and you said, "Well, Robert, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm going back to the hotel." "No, you're not. Get on the bus." And you let me ride the bus down to Arlington for that for the ceremony, the wreath ceremony. Is that amazing?
It is amazing, and I will tell you, it's just if you have every opportunity, go. It is just the changing of the guard is just phenomenal, and it's really emotional. It really is.
Oh, it's so emotional.
And I am so proud that we do this every year. And there's been times where it gets so busy that we've had to do it in the middle of the week, and we brought people in. We did not miss.
Oh, that's right. I did not.
Yeah,
I did not
usually
that.
On a Saturday or Sunday.
Sure.
But there was one time we couldn't get it done, so we did it on a Wednesday, and we made sure that those who were doing the ceremony were there.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. It's an emotional thing. As a matter of fact, they showed it at LTS this week, the video of it, and there was women that was in the guard.
Correct.
That was new. I've never seen that.
One of the things I know that NAPS really pushes is to make sure that it's veterans, and we make sure that we have a diverse group of veterans, and they have to balance it. There's only 4, so we have 5 regions, so we rotate that. So it's not. We only have the 4 people, so one region is out, but then the next time they're in. So it's just a rotation to make sure it's fair. And if anyone is ever a veteran who wants to participate and it's coming to LTS, make sure you submit your name to the executive vice president and let them know you're interested, or your NAPS representative, your NAPS area or regional VP that you'd be interested. We'd love to have the veterans come in and do that. Right. And, it's only once a year, so we have so many veterans who are dedicated to NAPS.
Sure.
And you can't,
You can't
everybody.
Take them all.
You can't. And we want to make sure that we rotate everybody in, so some people won't get duplicate. I want to do it again. Right. Well, we want to make sure everyone has an opportunity for this special honor.
Yeah, I did not realize that's how. I didn't know how you guys we picked the veterans to do that. They submit their name.
They submit their names. Usually, it's a recommendation from the area or the regional VP, and say, hey, we have so and so would like to be, Robert Wakefield, and we'll see who's up and see what we can do. And of course, yes, we do have females. We have people. Women in the military.
Absolutely.
God bless them for serving our thank you for your service.
That's so good. Yeah, that's so good. Well, that's good to know because I did not know how they selected those people. So tell me, we're going to the Hill tomorrow, and we're going to talk to our legislators about certain things. What is one of the bills that you are really interested in pushing?
One of the bills that I've been very interested in, it's been for years, it's the Postal Employees Appeals Right Amendment Act. Those employees who don't have MSPB rights, right? And the reason I bring this up, when I was working at the post office, I was a customer relations coordinator, and I was non-supervisory. And here I am, actually the NAPS president. I was the national secretary treasurer when I was working. I was at NAPS. But if I lost my job, or if I got fired, I didn't have MSPB rights. And here I am, a national officer. And when I was Central Region, I wouldn't have MSPB rights.
That's crazy.
And the post office really didn't have an objection to it. And it's a two-tier system. It's why have both when the one Merit System Protection Board is really the key one that gets a fair for people with a judge in front of a jury,
Exactly.
It's a
I hate
judicial
the
side.
651, don't you? The 650 process when it gets to that
right.
level.
It's a hearing, and the hearing officer at the headquarters, and like I said, they're firing you, and now they're the ones who are going to say, well, let's look at our case to see if we should fire you.
Exactly.
And we decide, well, maybe we should, but you don't have that third party with administrative law judge.
Some independence about that.
And that's one that's been very important. And of course, the new one, HR 7600, the Postal Supervisors, Managers, and Postmasters Fairness Act. That all came about when we did the last fact finding when I was president.
Right.
We won 3-0, and the fact finders ruled from the Federal Mediation and Conciliatory Service that the post office's pay-for-performance system was seriously flawed.
Right.
The fact-finding panel ruled 3-0 that NAPS was right. We should have had like a 3.5–4% back pay. That would have if they did that, that would have resolved. We wouldn't have had a lawsuit. Why not? A third party ruled, and we all testified.
And that bill that you're talking about would make the fact finding. Would that make it binding?
It would make it binding. And here's what I look at. That's you. If you go that route, then you live with what the decision is based off of third parties making that decision off the facts.
Exactly.
So that's why you build your case for the benefit of the members and make sure you have everything in line.
Right. Now, you were president when we actually took them to court.
Correct.
And you were the one that really instigated that.
Well, I would say
you and the executive board.
Well, I was the president. We did have an executive board meeting, and that was one of the decisions. I did vote to do the lawsuit because it did not seem fair that we got the ruling from the fact finding, and then all of a sudden post office says, no, we're not going to do this. Now, I know there was talk, well, we may need to do it through legislation. Well, we're at LTS.
Right.
And how long did it take us to get the WEP, the windfall elimination provision?
40 years?
Right.
Yeah.
So how long would it take to maybe get this fixed through legislation?
Isn't that the truth?
And we know what we're going through right now. You've got the other issues about TSA and, the funding. They're not looking at what this is here. So what we did is we did the right thing, and the board voted. It was a board vote,
right?
And it did pass, and that's what we moved forward.
And the thing is, the executive board voted on it. You went to the fact finding, and then we took it to court, and it went to the appeals court,
right?
And they found in our favor as well.
Correct. Originally, the judge dismissed it, but then we filed on appeal to the U.S. District Court of Appeals in D.C., and we won on the whole thing. And that's where we won that we represent all postmasters too. We represent all EAS.
Right.
So now there's the provisions of who we represent on some other issues and whether or not if back pay is coming, what would it be?
Yeah,
so we're waiting. And after the fact that we did discovery and now it's summary judgment, again, I'm not an attorney, but I have stayed at a Holiday Inn.
Well, that counts. So if you could stay there, you're in.
Yes.
I tell you
so
what.
So Bruce Moyer, our attorney, and of course the law firm that handled it, they do an excellent job. And Bruce is actually addressing it with the LTS members today, the delegates about the lawsuit, just as a briefing of what's happening.
Keep us up to date on it.
Right.
We just went that was February 2nd, 2022, because it was 2/22/22. And here we are, we just passed 2/22/26, and we still don't have a decision.
Yeah, and then we're waiting for the judge. It's just the judge has it.
What do you do?
Yeah, I would be pulling my hair out, but I just glued these new hairs in.
Yeah, don't pull them out.
No.
Just leave them there. They look great.
They're gray enough.
That is great. So that's another. What is another bill that strikes you that you're going to take?
Well, we're on HR 491, the Equal COLA Act. Now, that's only fair to those who are in FERS that get the full COLA compared to us. I'm a civil service retiree.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, civil service. So I started in 1978. Right out of high school. I was probably as tall as a fifth grader, but they still hired me. But those are the things, we want to make sure it's fair and equitable. Why have two-tier system on a COLA when we're all federal employees with Social Security? You got the civil service, then you got this other one that they go for FERS. The issue is how much extra would that cost? But then again, it's cost of living that people are getting less money for the cost of living.
That's right.
So they're really not staying ahead of course, inflation. Now, if inflation is zero, great. There's no cost.
Everybody wins then.
Everybody wins that. But this is only making it fair. And again, we've got so much. And when the Postal Police Reform Act, we have so many things that we worked diligently on our legislative.
Right.
That's why it's so important that we encourage members to donate to our Supervisor Political Action Committee,
You're right.
SPAC.
Very good.
Spectacular that you did in September.
Spectacular, yeah, that was great.
Because it does take money to get access. It does not buy votes, but it buys access to our legislators so we can go to fundraisers to tell them about the issues
Exactly.
we want them to look at and vote in our favor.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Tell me, there's one of the things, I'm going to stray from that just for a second. Was this the first time you've heard the new Postmaster General?
It is the first time I heard.
And what'd you think?
I thought he did a very good job. I've heard things that, I didn't know him, but he seemed to have a pretty good message and wants to focus now on the first mile and the last mile, and they had that in between where we're trying to do the restructure. It gets very confusing.
Oh, it does.
It really does.
There's a lot going on.
And there's been a lot of money invested, let's call it invested, but whether or not, but it's cost the post office, we lost $9 billion last year, this first quarter, $1.3 billion.
Yeah.
The challenges are, you're doing all this infrastructure, now you're going to change, when we heard from Ron Stroman from, the Board of Governors, that they're looking at the first, when the mail comes in and when the mail gets delivered, first and last, and not the middle. So now, how much is that going to cost to revamp? There's a lot going on.
There's,
I mean,
is. It really
my
is.
head spinning now. Maybe I should pull my hair out.
Maybe you should.
But we're doing excellent in legislation, and I know with the weather we're having here, again, out. DC is getting some delays, and some of our meetings are going to be changed around with our legislators coming in late. But again, they're working with us. We're having that's what it is. Legislation changes.
Oh, all the time.
You can't say, hey, I got this set.
Yeah.
It's
legislation has to be legislated.
Just like the post office. Every 5 minutes, something could change.
That's exactly right. Well, let me tell you, we're out of time now, but I've got to always ask you, which I always do, the flavor ice cream of the day.
Well, it's one of my really favorites. I like the little touch of this sea salt Oreo.
Sea salt Oreo.
A little bit of twist of the sea salt and with the Oreo chocolate.
Oh, that sounds really good.
I just added 2 pounds to my life.
All right, and I've been talking to everyone today, and I've closed out with a very serious question, and so I want to know what you think, and I want your honest answer. Okay, and here's the question: what is your favorite sandwich?
Favorite meatball sandwich.
Meatball sandwich. Oh, very good. Is it at a certain place or just anywhere?
It's called Advante's. It's a hometown. They've been in existence in Peoria forever.
Really?
How many 50 years that they were known for this gondola, they call it, but it's a subset. But the meatball sandwich. Oh my gosh.
So you'd kill for that?
Well, no, but I would pay a little extra for it.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for being on the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. You're going to be on in the future, so don't get too comfortable. I'm calling.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for letting me sit in the high chair so that I could at least reach the microphone.
Well, it's part of the perks that we offer.
Thank you.
All right, that's Brian Wagner on the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the Legislative Training Series.
Thank you for tuning in to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. Please note that the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Robert Wakefield and do not necessarily reflect the views of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. We welcome your questions and comments, so send those to SaturdayCupofJoe@gmail.com.